Hey guys, here we are on day 14. So it's 2 weeks after my initial ligament injury in this left elbow of mine. And things are going much better. So I have my full range of motion back still. And last week, from the physical side, I was doing lots of fluid movement stuff. And this week, I was also doing isometrics last week as well. This week, I've incorporated some upper body movement that is loaded, and it's an intentional progression. So I've added external loading in the form of a dumbbell, barbell, kettlebell. Sometimes it's static. So for example, carrying a weight here for distance, carrying a weight here for distance. Static positions like a windmill or a Turkish get-up. And then I've also added slow, controlled contractions with movement. So I've gone through push-ups nice and slow, dips nice and slow, lat pull-downs nice and slow, ring rows slow. And today I even did muscle snatches from the hang. So I took the snatch grip and pulled it up, pressed it up, slowly lower it down, pull it up, press it up. So I feel great, and I've even added some tricep extension, curl kind of related stuff. So I found so far 2 litmus tests for my pain. So most things I do don't cause any pain, but now I have 2 things that I can check on. Again, it's a ligament injury, so the first one makes complete sense to me, right? If this is my good arm, if I throw punches in midair, right, or I whip my arm around, and get it loose, I don't feel anything. But if I do that with this left arm, it definitely hurts inside of my elbow. And that makes sense because inside the joint is where the ligaments are found. So when the day comes that I can do that and whip my arm around, for me, that's the time where it's safe for me to start incorporating ballistic weighted movements like snatch, clean, and jerk as an example. All right, the other test, believe it or not, is a curl, just a basic supinated curl. So earlier Tuesday this week when I tested it out, I could only take 10 pounds and go from extension to flexion. If I took 15 pounds, as soon as I started to move my arm, it would hurt pretty bad inside the elbow. As comparison, I could take 35, 40 pounds on this arm and do it with no pain at all. Today, I retested the curl, and I was able to take 20 pounds and move it up and down. So I've doubled the amount of weight in just a few days that I can handle without pain, but I still can't whip my arm around. All right, so I'll be keeping an eye on both of those to sort of point me in the direction of when I can return to faster movement for weightlifting purposes. All right, and then the last thing to touch on is the head gain, right? So I mentioned it in my last video, and it definitely continues, because I can assure you every time I'm testing these movements out, the push-up or the lat pull-down, in my own head I'm waiting like, oh God, is this going to hurt? When I was in Wednesday's GPP WOD, and I was carrying a kettlebell here, I was wondering if I made a bad decision. What if, okay, it doesn't hurt right now, but what if it hurts later tonight, and now I set myself back? Right, so there's a lot of anxiety around doing any movement with this arm, and there's a lot of fear about what if I hurt myself again? What if I worsen the injury? My experience in my training tells me I'm making the right decisions, but I'm human, and I have an activity that I love taken away from me temporarily. And so I have this real anxiety and fear that's a constant situation in my head, and it is definitely a chronic stress, this injury. So you are not alone if you are injured dealing with these things yourself. Everyone goes through it, and so it's important that people like me who are in these situations, we talk honestly about it instead of pretending like we're some hardcore, Superman, when in reality, all of us are mostly the same and go through the same ups and downs when we're rehabbing an injury. The important thing is that we stay consistent with small behaviors that are showing us that we're getting better, and that even when we're down and depressed or anxious, that we stay on top of our routines and surround ourselves with very positive, supportive people to build us up as we go through those emotional times. So stay tuned for next week as I update you guys further on the progress from this elbow injury.